Yes, hello, welcome everybody, it's Chris here from the Ministry of Dice, and I'm back again today with another one of our spoiler review videos. If you're new around these parts, if this is the first spoiler review video of ours you've ever watched, then what you need to know, the bottom line is that we take a look at a recent tranche of spoilers and share my top picks, my most anticipated, the ones that have got me excited now that I've seen them. And if you've been living under a rock for the last couple of weeks, it may have escaped your notice that the Wizkids marketing machine has started moving forward and previewing cards from the upcoming DC Dice Masters Superman Kryptonite Crisis set, which is due in June. Now, those spoilers are across a range of content creators. They're on a number of websites and videos they were revealed. I'll give you some information at the end as to how you can go and see the whole selection. But in this video today, I'm going to talk about the ones that have got my juices flowing, the ones that have got me really excited, my top picks from what we've seen so far. So there we go. There's the context. Let's get straight into it and talk about some cards, shall we? And the first one that has got me so excited is the legendary Wonder Woman. Literally subtitled Legendary, because she's awesome. She's an incredible character, one of my all-time faves, and I just love that we've got a card here that is so almightily powerful. It reflects just her importance and her strength in the DC universe. She's a 6-cost mask. She's got the Justice League and Super Friends affiliation, and she's got 3 parts to a game text here. The first part: when fielded, spin target character die to an energy face, and you may deal 2 damage to target character die. So in theory, in the first instance, when you field her, she can potentially remove up to 2 of your opponent's characters. Certainly 1 with the spin down effect, but possibly a second if there's a character knocking around with a defense under 2. Secondly, she doesn't just target opposing characters, she can target your own characters, I believe. So what you may want to do is use her when she's fielded to generate a quick bit of energy in your current go, and perhaps line up KO a sidekick to line up a bit of ramp for your following turn. So, there's some wider options as to what you can do with that first piece of game text. But particularly, I think we'll see it being used as a when fielded removal effect to get rid of stuff that you don't like on the opposite side of the table. But in addition to that, there's even more, because in her second bit of game text, let's take a look at this. While Wonder Woman is active, ignore opposing when fielded and when attacks abilities. So in essence, it's a reprint of the old Wonder Woman Reflections from the Superman Wonder Woman starter set. But the difference now with this new version of Wonder Woman is that she only affects opposing when fielded and when attacks abilities, whereas the previous version was a kind of blanket effect over the entire game for you and your opponent. So you're still free to use when fielded and when attacks abilities, but your opponent isn't. That is an incredible amount of oppressive control. So not only are you removing characters when you field her, but you're also taking away vitally important game effects. And when fielded and when attacks can be particularly nasty in the meta right now. I'm thinking like Spider-Man Public Menace is a when attacks ability. The Green Lantern Human is a when attacks ability. Becky Lynch's removal effect is a when fielded ability. There's tons of stuff out there that when fielded and when attacks can really oppressively control with this card and keep you in a much safer position. And then finally, she's got a global. Pay a mask. Change the target of an action die that targets a character die to the target die of your choice, which on the surface is probably quite easy to dismiss, but I think there's some really fun stuff you could do redirecting action targeting. One that springs to my mind, and I've mentioned it before, is if your opponent's using thrown brick for their ramp, just pay a mask and make them target a sidekick instead, so they don't get the benefit of the prep. Just little janky maneuvers that can really interfere and mess with your opponent's plans and intentions. And in addition to that, with the control game text, look at those stats: 033, 135, 257. So she's pretty tough to remove. If they're looking to try and damage her out the field, especially on level 2 and level 3, she ain't going nowhere. She's sitting staunch, ready to fight, ready to defend, ready to be the legend that Wonder Woman is. Also, check out that great artwork. Now, the downside of Wonder Woman is her cost. 6-cost mask. It's pretty expensive. As a control card, she comes in a lot more expensive than some of the opposing cards that you'd want to use her to control. So I'm pretty confident, I know I'm certainly going to be trying using her, that she'll slip in with teams that are mask focused that make use of Asuka, the Empress of Tomorrow. Because of her discount, while Asuka's active, your Mask Superstar dice cost 2 less to purchase. So I think we're going to see her definitely paired paired up with Asker for the discount, certainly appearing in mask-centric teams that have already got a bit of a masky focus about them as a control element, a kind of one-size-fits-all piece of control that you can get a bit cheaper, drop in the field, and lock down some of your opponent's options. But yeah, really excited about this one. My only upset is that she's a super rare. I'm not so keen on such a powerful control card being a super rare rarity and going to be really hard to get your hands on, which is, I think, just one of those things. So there we go. Wonder Woman Legendary. One to look out for, folks. One that's got me excited. Let's see if she becomes a meta piece. Next on my list is a bit of ramp. We've got the Investigative Journalism basic action. This is one of two basic actions that they've revealed so far that's very ramp focused. This one is the one that particularly stands out to me. It's a 5 cost, but look at what it does. Draw 4 dice, roll up to 3 of them, prep the remainder. So despite its cost, I just think it's got loads of options. The first thing that springs to mind is that I'm basically drawing twice as many dice in a turn. I've got my standard draw of 4, and then with this card, I can draw another 4. So I'm drawing 8 dice that turn. The churn power of that is just... I mean, I can't even get my head around it. The churn power is incredible. And you've got tons of options as to what to do with it. It says roll up to 3, prep the remainder. So you've always got 1 going into your prep area, setting you up for your turn next time around. But you might choose to roll 2 and prep 2, or roll 1 and prep 3. You know, whatever. It's got loads and loads of flexibility to suit whatever you're trying to do in that turn. So if you're trying to get your spending power up there and then, or churn through to a dice you've just bought that you really want to get your hands on, then this can help you do that. If you want to get prepped up for a big turn next turn, well, she'll let you do that too. Maybe you've got loads of globals you're planning on using next go or something, and you need to prep a load of energy to roll in the following turn for use. Who knows? It's got loads and loads of flexibility. I think also because it's a draft pack set, the fact that there's a basic action giving you some really strong ramp options is something that can't be dismissed either, because it'll help you out in the draft setting too. The thing that will make people dismiss it is the 5 cost, and so I suspect we'll see it used an awful lot with things like this, the Thor Global, Scion of all Asgard. This is just the common one, but the Global appears on a number of rarities in Infinity Gauntlet, where you can pay a bolt and reduce the cost of your next action purchase by 2, effectively making it a 4 cost rather than a 5 cost, which is just a little bit more palatable and manageable than the 5 cost. So I think we'll see an awful lot of stuff like that. Or maybe Forge, Energized Forge. I've not got him lined up to show on the screen, but he's one to take a look at too. So I just think loads of options, tons of flexibility, enormous amount of churn and ramp power there, and not one to be dismissed. Time will tell whether the cost will be one that takes it out of the picture, but definitely one that me and Andy are going to be having a play around with and seeing if it's got legs. So there you go, bit of basic action ramp for you. And let's take a look what's next on the list. And here we have the Batman Rooftops. This was revealed live on the Breath Weapon X game stream that took place a couple of weekends ago. And the key thing that stands out here, well, there's 2 things really. First, the affiliations. It's another 3 affiliation card with Bat Family, Justice League and Super Friends. And the second bit that's standing out, that's caught my eye, and I know it's caught the eye of many, is the Global. Pay 2 masks. Each player may field up to 2 psychic dice from their use pile. So immediately, the first thing that stands out there is the fact that the churn potential. Get those sidekicks out and fielded ASAP using this global, and then you're just reaching into your bag for the hot stuff, for the hot dice that you really want to get your hands on. You know, so I think he's going to be a card that we'll see included on teams as in a single card slot with 1 dice on, just to serve the purposes of the global, although his stats aren't to be sniffed at. He's a bit steep though. So, yeah, we've got that. The fact that it's fielding psychic dice as well and not moving or placing means that also has caught people's eye who use Thor, Jormungand's Sphere, or who are planning on using Jubilee X-Men Field Leader when she comes down the pipeline with the Dark Phoenix Saga set. I mean, with that global alone, Thor, Jormungand's Sphere has the capacity to deal 4 damage a turn. And that's not just 4 damage on your turn, that's 4 damage every turn on yours and your opponent's. So you've got 2 sidekicks being fielded into the field, and he's dealing 2 damage for each one, and you can do it on your go or on your opponent's go. So you can remove characters or ping your opponent with impunity. And Jubilee the same. When you field a character die, she deals 1 damage to your opponent and 1 damage to target character die. Again though, look at the rarities on these bad boys. Super rares. Just, powerful cards that are super rares are annoying. But I think there might be something that can be done with the fact that he's got so many different affiliations and he can serve that purpose. The energize ability to draw and roll 2 dice is not too bad either. But I also think that global just opens the door to some creativity into some janky options. So stay with me on this. Here's one that occurred to me the other day. I was thinking about it. So we've got this card, Anti-Monitor Mobius. He was revealed recently by DM North, I think, off the top of my head. And he reads, when Anti-Monitor attacks, you may KO any number of your character dice. For each that you do, your opponent KOs one of their character dice. So he's a 5-cost fist, but you get him out in the field, and then you field sidekicks. Now, your opponent might then go, well, I'm going to have to field some sidekicks too, because when he attacks with that anti-monitor, he's going to KO his sidekicks and try and remove my good stuff. So I'll get some sidekicks out in the field to stop that. So let's throw in a Charlotte Flair. While Charlotte Flair is active, when an opposing sidekick is fielded, she deals 1 damage to your opponent. So now you're putting them in this kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Field some sidekicks, you'll take some damage, but you'll be able to handle the anti-monitor when attacks ability. If you don't field the sidekicks, then you're losing your good stuff, and it's just this kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, really tough decision thing that you're putting your opponent in a place to have to make. And then, just because I'm, that guy, throw in something like a Poison Ivy budding interest. While Poison Ivy is active, when an opposing non-villain character dies KO'd, his controller loses 1 life. So, all right, don't field the sidekicks, do field the sidekicks, whatever, but you're just taking damage all over the place and losing life all over the place, or having to deal with 7/7 attacking anti-monitors, or, all that kind of good stuff. Now, I realise that this combo, I'm talking about 4 slots out of my character action card slots. It requires the purchase of a 5-cost, a 4-cost, and a 4-cost characters, the 3 characters that are not relatively cheap, and generating enough energy to use the global. I get that. It's fully casual. I'm not proposing a hugely competitive combo here. What I'm trying to illustrate is that there is more to that global than meets the eye. There's stuff there, there's something there, and it's definitely one that's going to be seeing play. I know that some will just go straight for the low-hanging fruit and use it to generate sidekicks and make sidekick armies and buff them up and whatever, and there's going to be people who go for the low-hanging fruit of Thor and Jubilee. But I just think there's lots and lots of options and opportunities to use that global in really cool and interesting ways, taking advantage of the fact that it's a field the sidekicks. So there you go. So Batman's got me really excited, but actually I kind of like that anti-monitor a little bit too. There we go. Speaking of Poison Ivy, there's another Poison Ivy coming down the chute in the DC Dice Masters Superman Kryptonite Crisis set. We've got this one here, Poison Ivy, Push Too Far. This was exclusively revealed by our very selves, in fact, as was the Wonder Woman earlier on, actually. I snuck this one in on the bottom of an article I wrote about token makers, so some of you may have missed it, unless you caught it when it appeared across some other content creator stuff. But we've got, when fielded, choose an opposing character replacing all previous choices. While Poison Ivy is active, when that character die attacks, field a 0 attack and 2 defense plant token. While Poison Ivy is active, if a plant token is KO'd, target player loses 1 life. So this is a really, really interesting card. The first thing that kind of springs to mind is the sort of defensive capability here, because you can always get a blocker. If you know your opponent's going to be hammering you turn after turn after turn with the same attacker, you can always get yourself a blocker with the Poison Ivy. It's really, really nice to get yourself lined up with something that can just throw characters in the field to just be your little chump blockers, And the fact it's got that extra little element there, if a plant token is KO'd, target player loses 1 life, is really, really sweet as well. Some combo ideas that I've been rattling around in my head lately. You've got things like Wallop with the global there, pay a fist, target block character die, deals no damage. So you're losing your own damage capacity through the lose life game text, but you're making these blockers just much more effective against things like, big ugly overcrushers that you might be facing. Or there's a card in the Dark Phoenix Saga set that has had a lot of chat about it, the Mr. Sinister Geneticist, who's also got a global here. Pay 2 bolts, target non-sidekick character die, gains deadly. And remember, tokens count as a level 1 character die when they're in the field. So it might be nice to throw a bit of deadly on one of these plant tokens and just really interfere with your opponent's plans. So you've got some blocking capacity, but there's also perhaps some opportunities to use it offensively. I mean, the aforementioned Jubilee and Thor kind of pingity ping 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 damage stuff, because again, it's a field a 0 attack and 2 defense plant token. So you're just like, yeah, whatever, come at me with that, bro, but I'm pinging you for 2 and fielding a plant token, So there's opportunities. I was also thinking about stuff that buffs them up, get an army of them together and then just steam over after you've played a Black Widow, Widow's Bite or something like that. So got some defensive capability for sure. Really interesting one to play around with. She's cheap as well at a 3 cost, but maybe you can take advantage of some of that game text there and use it offensively as well, which I just think is a super interesting card and one that I definitely want to play around with. I'm excited to give a go. So I think that brings me to the end, actually. Yeah, there we go. That brings me to the end of my hot picks. I would love to hear from you guys what stood out to you in the spoilers, what hot picks have caught your eye. If you've not seen them yet, we do have the complete collection over on the website. If you head on over to britroller6.com and then click the unreleased set spoilers button at the top menu bar there, you'll get taken through to a selection of galleries that shows all the preview material, solicits information and card spoilers for all the upcoming sets in 2021, including Superman Kryptonite Crisis. So go and take a look and then head on back over to the comments or drop them in the comments on the website. Let me know what your hot picks are, what's caught your eye, any interesting combos you've got brewing around. Maybe you've got a better combo idea with Batman and Anti-Monitor than I've managed to put together. Let me know what your janky stuff is out there. I'd love to hear from you. But in the meantime, I'll thank you for coming and having a watch, and I'll catch you on a podcast, on a YouTube video, or over at britroller6.com sometime soon. Okay, thanks folks. See you later.